back to Judging Bouncing Balls. I had to wait for it to go live officially on Facebook. But we are back after a week off. Toby, how the heck are you?
We are great. Great. It's a July 6th. Nice little break in the action. You took some time off last week. We had a very exciting weekend in St. Louis that we'll talk about, but it's good to be back.
Yes, it is good to be back. No, it was, apologies that was my fault for being off last week. We were up in Minocqua area and did not have the greatest cell coverage, so I did not think a Wi-Fi was going, we didn't have any Wi-Fi. I didn't think it was going to work to go live, so apologies, but thought it was best to just postpone the show for a little bit.
Probably for the better.
Yeah.
You need a break. You need to recharge the battery,
right.
as they say.
Yeah, we just had a break, though, like 3 weeks earlier, but, that's okay.
Right. That happens.
Yeah. I had to decompress from Joe over the weekend.
Yeah. It was good to be back on the club scene, right? I mean, you come off of high school, and which was a great time, but it was time to get back to club soccer.
Yeah.
And boy, did we.
Yeah, so let's talk about down in St. Louis. I mean, what a cool event for the club. The club had two teams there. The boys, what is that, 2012 boys? I can't remember. I never can remember.
2010
boys.
Right. So our coach, Shant, had two teams, which is very impressive down at the regionals. Yep. Our girls' side, the 08s, ran into a buzzsaw of a bracket, we'll call it. We had, I know we talked about the Michigan Tigers, the Galaxy out of Illinois, and yep. Kansas, was it Topeka?
Topeka, yeah.
Topeka, yeah.
Topeka, there you go.
Topeka. So, we all hit the St. Louis region midday on Friday to a tune of 97 degrees. Turf temperature about $1.20. Something new for us. I mean, me and you handled it well. I mean,
of course.
It was a lot, but
prime athletes.
Went live, and yeah, I mean, we're in the peak. Came on against a buzzsaw. I thought Michigan was good, but I thought we were a tick off. You could tell we hadn't played together a lot.
Yeah.
I thought that game was right for the getting, but we ended up giving up some goals that we usually don't give up. We took a 5-2 loss, but it was a lot closer than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that one kind of got away from us quicker than we normally would. I mean, usually our defense is so locked down, and it just didn't work out the way that we wanted. Like you said, I thought we had a little rust, a little bit of miscommunication, and it happens. A long layoff like that, it's going to happen to the best teams. You see it in the NFL, you see it in professional leagues. They have a little bit of a, sometimes that's why the bye. In the NFL. Whoa, there was you don't want to hear me there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but sometimes that happens where you have a little layoff, and in this case, we had a layoff since, November. And it's pretty tough to be right on the chemistry-wise, so, oh well.
Yeah, and plus we brought in some new girls, some talent that was excellent that is going to joined our team. That will be very exciting. But I think it's just, you're right, a little rust. It was different playing. We played at the Crev French word?
Sure.
I don't really know. Whatever. But, you stand on a fence. You don't get to sit on the grass, and you don't get to put your feet on the grass. You stand on concrete, and it's hot as all hell. It was if that's hell, I've now been a couple of times. It was hot. But, I think at this age, I think kids also talk themselves into a loss at times, right? Because you're playing Michigan Tigers. They're coming off 2 years ago. They were in the national title chase, and you kind of get that feeling like, hey, I don't know if we can pull this off. And we come out with a 5-2 loss, and then Saturday we show up, and that's a team that we've beaten before, Topeka, and
yep.
we played great. We actually got up 2-0. And they came back to tie it, which is very unusual again for us.
Yeah.
And then Amelia's goal late in the mid-second half, which was the game, the game winner. So
yep.
That was fun. I'm glad we won. You travel all the way and you get a win. Did you freeze or did I freeze? But, we're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, at least you can hear me.
Yeah. But I was just saying that we did get a victory, which helps because you travel that way, and it helps the day, right? So we played at 2 o'clock on Friday. We hadn't seen each other in a long time, so we had to, got to hang out. But then Saturday we won at noon, and then we spend the rest of the day. You kind of get a little chip on your shoulder, and you're talking about victories.
Yep.
Knowing Sunday was going to be the battle. Sunday we played Galaxy, the best team in the land, and they were good.
Yeah, they were phenomenal.
Nothing to say against them. They were. Macy made a comment because Macy was a captain that weekend, and she went up to the line to meet the umpire, whatever, the refs, and the coach of Galaxy is like, "All right, defense, you're captain today," and they don't say a word. The defense walked up, shook hands, we're captains, let's go. Like it was just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
we got to our 20-minute mark. Yeah, we wanted to hang on for 20 minutes and see if we get in, and we did. But what me and you were broadcasting, and we look out about 30-minute mark, and the center ref, young lady, is just letting it go. I mean, she is.
I shouldn't laugh because this poor young lady. I mean, she's probably in her low 20s, upper. She's not. And you even said like 2 minutes before it happened, you're like, "Is the center ref okay?" And then all of a sudden, she blows the whistle, just bends over and lets it all go right at center field. I mean, and probably 3 or 4 times she puked. I mean, it was.
She was empty. And the best part was our broadcast, right? We had our camera just kind of on her, like not paying attention, and then they came. So then they stop the game, and they don't know what to do, and then they bring out a golf cart with and then the guy had like 2 bottles of water, and he poured them on the ground. Like I don't even think it was technically on the spot.
I don't think it was.
But he's like, and then he's like, okay. Brought in a new guy, and we got back to playing.
and didn't they bring out a guy that like sprayed something too, and it was kind of like everything's good.
It was like a Lysol can, like he just cured COVID, right? I mean, it was great.
It's kind of like when if you've ever watched professional soccer, the dude gets hit or the lady gets hit, and then they come out and they spray that like magic stuff on them, and they jump right back up and they start running. It's like, what is in that can? You just it cures everything. I don't know what's in that can, but whatever he had. It solved the whole problem.
He went from a broken leg to just running fast in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so that was a first for me. I had never seen a ref, blow chunks like that, or whatever you'd want to say. Right. Yeah, that was something else. But I felt really bad for her because what a horrible for her. But to be fair, they took her right out and they took her to a tent. She didn't have to like do a walk of shame or anything, so that was good.
No, they got her a golf ride, which is good. And then our kind souls, we asked about her after, and they said she was doing well. So
yeah, which is good. So yeah, it was good.
She didn't get paid, so
yeah, they doctor pay. But that's why they have 4 refs, which is kind of nice. They have a person just kind of watching in the sideline, and he was able to just jump right in. And I thought he did a good job. Overall, I thought the reffing was pretty good. All 3 games, especially the first and third game, the first game was really good. I thought the refs were great. Very, they did a lot of explanations, which was good, and they were affirmative. Like they stood to their calls, which I thought was a good. So when you have a lot of young people reffing games at a high level, sometimes that can go both ways, right? It can be really good. Sometimes it can be bad because of the inexperience. They don't make the calls. But overall, I thought they did a nice job on the tournament. So I thought that was good.
The second game, we have never had that many yellow cards. I mean, because usually a girl side, right, you don't get a lot of yellows. But there was a lot of chippiness. 2 or 3 yellows were given. And actually, there should have been a red card on the girl from Kansas. Yep. She had like 4 fouls, picked up a yellow, and then picked up an egregious penalty.
Yeah.
I'd say that loosely. But then the ref decided at that point to give her the speech about egregious penalties. And I'm like, well, you're kind of down the river too far. Right. Maybe it's time to remove her so she doesn't hurt one of our kids.
Yeah, I thought that would have probably been smart, but they didn't. So it is what it is, and we move on.
Yeah, the parents were a little chippy from Kansas. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, you're from Kansas, right? You should be kind like us. I mean, we said some things. I said, it wasn't bad. I just informed them that I didn't like the call. And then
Yeah.
they responded, but we settled down. I mean, we were not going to fight. It was too hot. It was too hot. I mean, I sweat.
Yeah, but it's like, let's just do this later.
right. But the worst part, I will say, was Sunday when you get beat, you're done, and you're like, all right, let's get in the car and drive for 7 hours, sweaty, hot, and miserable.
Yeah. It was amazing. Driving home.
The conversation was great. The smell of shoe in the back seat was amazing.
So good. So, yeah.
You had to pick up ice cream.
We did, and we barely made it. To be fair, I called our supplier and because they were open till 7 o'clock on Sunday, which I give them a lot of credit for being open till 7 on a Sunday. I called them, and I'm like, I'm going to be late. We're not going to make it until, because we had to stop. And I'm like, we're not going to make it until 7:10. And they're like, no problem, we'll wait for you. So, I mean, they saved us literally a 3-hour round trip to come back down to Madison. So I was very appreciative. We pulled in, grabbed it, and then got out of their hair and headed home. So worked out really well.
Wouldn't have happened if you were going to Kansas. Not with those parents.
It wouldn't have. So it was good.
I will say the disappointing thing, and it's very good for our state, but the Madison 56ers ended up moving on. So this is what I don't like about USA soccer. So we played Galaxy. Galaxy has already made the national tournament. So winning regionals meant nothing to them, right?
Right.
So they gave us a loss, which in the end hurt us from making it on to the semifinals. Now, I do think we were the third team in our bracket with Michigan beating us. But
right.
So Madison got a really friendly draw. They come out of their bracket and play FC Fusion, Kansas City Fusion, or no?
Yep.
Yeah, something like that, okay? And Galaxy played St. Croix. Well, the top two teams move on to the finals, which was KC Fusion and Galaxy. Both those teams had already advanced to the national tournament. So the final game of the 08 tournament didn't decide anything. So they actually had the third and fourth team play to decide who goes to nationals. And Madison ended up beating St. Croix, Minnesota 1-0. So it was good for them. That's great. Yep. Got cheated, but doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you took teams that knocked out other teams to get there. And that's what bugged me. I'm like, why are they there? And I understand if you want to play great soccer and you want to show your, but then you don't give other teams the opportunity to have an opportunity.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't like that either. I don't understand why they're there and why, if they were ever going to look at something, I understand the whole point of maybe wanting to have like tune-up games or something like that, but to me, that's their problem. If they're going to auto-qualify them, that's the team's problem. It's like, okay, you're auto-qualified, you're going to have to figure out how to get ready to play, and obviously the Galaxy are so dang good, they don't need tune-up games, I mean, at least in the regionals. But the way that all played out just didn't make any sense. To have them play, both them win, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to have another game between the two losers to see who goes on to nationals. It's like, what? Since when do you have two losing teams play each other to see who goes to nationals? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What's the whole point? Yeah. Like, what's the point of the playoffs? It's just bizarre to me. And kudos to them for winning. But I will die on this hill. There's not been an easier road to the nationals. Honestly, they didn't have to play that many difficult teams, in my opinion, in the regionals, and then to be able to go in and play a team that was also a loser, and then you're a loser, and then you get to go on to nationals. That's got to be one of the easiest paths to the national tournament that there's ever been.
Right, because this is our third regionals, and there's never been that path.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
We've played Indy Premier, which blew us out the door. Right, I mean, we've played Galaxy. We were really that it just it's mind-boggling. So if you go back to the state championship game, which if that decided this, right, that terrible goal from the corner that got in,
right,
from Madison player, whatever her name was. If that was the deciding factor, maybe us getting, it just, I don't know. I did hear this. So I heard that at the regionals, they take the top 4 teams, which would have been Galaxy, Fusion, St. Croix, and I don't think it was Madison. It was somebody else. Those teams get the number 1 seed, and then they draw out of a hat. So we just got completely screwed.
Right.
So it's not about where you place in state, if you won club v club. It was just that. So but I'm with you. You lose, and then you play in a consolation participation trophy game, and then they're like, "Oh, you got a little prize inside." It's called the tournament. So,
yeah. So, anyways, I mean, again, I'm not trying to take away from Madison. Kudos to them. I hope they enjoy it, but that's got to be one of the easiest paths. I mean, having been to regionals the last 2 years, I would have loved a path like that. I mean, honestly, that would have been phenomenal. But it is what it is. You can only play who they give you. So,
yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to root against Madison down there to get beat 7-0 and have them waste all that money to go down to Florida. But I'm probably going to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Yep. So, anyways.
So that was St. Louis in a nutshell. It was hot. It was miserable. The girls played hard. So we're excited. Then the hard part about us, and we could talk about this, is we had tryouts the week before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you're sitting at regionals, and you start to get emails of, did your kid make the next year or not? And, we've been pretty good. I think most of our girls have moved on, but you never know, right? You're
Right.
opening your email in private. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I made it. Now I got to accept, right away. Send check. Okay. But you just don't know, right? You don't know because you have new girls out there. You have girls that have played in the past, and you just don't know where everything settles.
Right. You don't know who's there and who's not. And so I think that's where it's going to be, where you always are a little bit leery about, like, hey, we made it, like trying to high five somebody and they're like, oh, we didn't. That could be not as great. But yeah, honestly, it was, I think for the most part, we knew kind of who was there and who wasn't. There were people that weren't the ones that were trying to make it. So I think for the most part,
some that didn't even try out, right?
Right.
I will say, Paul said, sounds like Madison's the new Amherst. Easy schedule.
Oh, boy. Boy, we are just picking on Amherst. I don't even know why. How did this happen? I don't have any issue with Amherst.
Any publicity is good publicity. I was taught in marketing school in my 5 years of education.
We're going to have Bill back on to talk about how good Amherst is. So, Bill, if you're listening, it was a good interview. We appreciate it. So, thank you.
Right. You might want to reload and come back on. But you get back, so you're right, though. You're cautious about who, and you talk to everybody. We're not excluding anybody, but you just don't know to celebrate.
Right.
And so you come out of this, with your offer, and then it was an interesting season being in high school, right? Because club season only lasted for Macy 1 week because of high school and making as far as they did. So she practiced twice, regionals, and then we're off for the month.
Yep.
And I'm okay with it.
So, I got to ask you this, though. I called it. I called the cost 100%. When I looked at the fee, that was one of the things I was interested in looking at right away. I called that number. Called it. I'm happy about that, by the way. Not happy about the number, but I'm happy I called it.
The new number?
Yeah, what we had to pay.
Yeah.
Let's just say this. I don't think Rookie would be super excited.
I'm not saying I'm on the board and voted for that number, but
I was like, I know. I'm like, I know what it's going to be. Yeah, right? Dead on.
Would you like to guess next year?
No, I don't. So, anyways, yeah.
But so we have a month off, and then do we fire back up in August right away?
I gotta believe that's when practice is going to start. We get to meet the new coach and kind of go from there. That's when all the other sports or the other clubs are going to be starting up. Is usually July is like your little lull, which I contend I don't understand the whole July off thing. It doesn't make any sense to me when we live in a state where we can't go outside for 5 months out of the year, that we take the literal nicest and hottest month of the year and we're like, we're not doing anything outside. No soccer. Meanwhile, in January, it's like 30 below, and we're like, can we get somewhere inside to practice? Like, seriously, why is January not the month when we're off? I don't understand this logic in WISA or whoever sets the schedule. I'm sure there's some reason behind it, but it doesn't make any sense. We should be outside practicing in July, but whatever.
You know, I never thought about that. You're absolutely correct.
I don't get it.
Only get... That's like you buy a motorcycle, right? You're like, I'm going to park it for June and July, and I'm going to ride it the rest
November.
of the year.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure there's a good reason behind it. I'm sure somebody smart like Paul or Joe or maybe they would know. Yeah, but I think it's weird to me.
Yeah, I think they look at it like, because the tryouts are set now. Tryouts are state. What's the word I'm looking for? They're governed by the state, like the WISA was youth soccer stuff. So they tell you have to try out here, you have to give offers by here, and you have to accept by here. Well, Dusty joined us. He's one of the DOCs. He says it used to be that way. Well, used to doesn't do us any good. So
that's right.
Maybe used to, right? Like I used to be skinnier. What good does that do me now? Zero. So maybe you're right. Maybe we need to switch so we go back. They decide that families need to have vacations. When does anybody care about vacations in youth sports?
Since when do they care about the families?
That's our whole premises of our podcast. Nobody cares about nothing.
Honestly, the other side of that too. So the other side of that is, it would make even more sense because then the season you could change the season over at the end of the calendar year, and then it would be like, hey, we're in the 2023 season or the 2024 season.
It would be easier, and it's not like I'm like, hey, family, we should go to Florida in July. Like, what good is that? It was 95 here yesterday.
Anyways,
that's why we don't run clubs.
Yeah, we wouldn't be good at it.
But you're right, but I do enjoy the time off because, as you know, I do see like our rec players are playing right now, and like Tuesday, Thursday nights at rec. I gotta be honest, that looks pretty amazing. For like $90, you get a jersey, and you play twice a week. Throw some ice cream at him. You're home by 9. I would drive 6 miles to the park. I'm just saying. Maybe. Do they recruit from rec? I mean, are there any colleges that we should wear our khakis?
By the way, I brought that up to somebody else that we were thinking about doing that. While they thought it was a very good idea and it would be good comedic relief, they also thought we might get shot. So,
well, every good thing you do for comedy is worth getting shot.
Right.
But that's the problem with the parents. But that's where we would come in and we would lead them to said promised land. And right before we give them the offer, we'd be like, were just kidding. And their world would crumble. Now, it would be bad. It would be very bad. But if we did it at rec, do people from rec really feel that they're going pro? No.
There might be a few.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good idea.
Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, rec is fun. I will admit, rec is a lot of good time, but it's also it's sometimes hard to watch too.
Yeah. You get back to July. Let me ask you this. Do you have a cottage? Do you own a cottage or a boat?
I do not own a cottage or a boat, but we have.
I don't either.
My wife's family has a cottage that they share between a lot of people, but we occasionally get to go up there, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I don't own a cottage or a boat either. So I'm ready to play soccer year round. I don't need the time off. I know there's people on our podcast right now that boat. Their kids like to boat. Not my problem. Unless I'm invited, then I'll make it my problem.
That's right. Well, listen, we only practice 3 days out of the week, so they still have 4 days to go out and boat around.
Right.
I don't know. Somebody needs to tell Lisa that we need to change this back. End it at December 31st. January off. Run it hard the rest of the time.
Plus, now that we're in high school, you get time off. I mean,
yes.
April through June. God, what do people want? Jeez.
What do they have? Lives? Friends? Weirdos.
Right. And I'll be honest, even my pickleball league takes the summer off. I'm like, what are we doing? We got to be playing full time. I need to get away.
Oh, who needs vacation? Coming from Joe Shear, the guy,
the king of vacation.
His job is vacation, isn't it? He just rides around on a mower and then he goes to Florida.
Oh, I got another cruise. I'm really fancy.
It's fun to make fun of Joe. Speaking of pickleball, so sorry, this isn't youth sports, but I actually worked a pickleball tournament. We went to it and sold ice cream. It was fun to watch. Yeah,
I saw that on your Facebook page.
Good old pickleball. It was
what
a good
did
time.
you think?
Yeah, it was. I need to play
pickleball, or
there was some good teams. Yeah, I was impressed with some of them. There was some that were, not as good, but that's the way it goes.
You've known me now for a while. If I bring my pickleball gang, you think we could compete?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of age groups too. So you depending on you had your young age groups and then your older age groups, so you could kind of get seated in with your age group. I think it was, or something.
Do you think they'd put me in the younger age group because of my abilities to move,
probably
to get after it? Yeah, I would assume. How did the ice cream sales go at said pickleball? Because pickleball people can be difficult, right? I mean, they're there to play pickleball.
It wasn't great.
Driven.
It wasn't great, but that's okay. It was fine. We definitely had some people that came up and told us a little bit. I just thought of this now. We did have one lady come up that was very, very confident in her ability as a pickleball player. Because I usually ask, like, hey, how's it going? How'd the day go? She's just like, well, this is a pretty light tournament for me. We only played 6 games. I mean, that's like 1/20th of what I would play in a normal day. And then I'm like, well, how did you do? And she's like, oh, we did really well. We exceeded our expectations. I mean, she was just like singing her own praises. But when she literally said 1/20th of what I would play in a normal day, and I'm thinking, so you play like 120 pickleball games in a day? Like, dear God, lady, you need to have a talk about your life. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that are fun. I don't know if I do 120 games in a day.
No way. You send her over to Seymour in the winter, and we'll see if she can play a little pickleball. Pickleball people are a little difficult. Yeah, but I could see them not buying ice cream.
No, it wasn't bad. It was a little slow.
Cheap asses.
No, it wasn't that they were cheap. It was just they were engaged in their event and not in buying ice cream.
How would they afford stuff if they don't buy ice cream?
So yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, she did make me laugh. I'm not gonna lie. So
how, like in an age group of 50 to 60, 60 to 70
for her?
Yeah.
She was, I would hate to misjudge her age, but if I had to say, she was in her 40s.
Okay. Joe asked a great question. Maybe you should switch it up with selling some beers.
Do pickleball people drink beer at pickleball?
There's some. As an athlete, I try not to because I don't want to get my game going the wrong way.
Okay.
But I did play golf. I played golf tonight. And I did.
I don't know. Maybe selling alcohol would be a good thing for me. Maybe that's what I should do. A mobile beer truck, because I wouldn't be tempted, and then I could make more profits.
You're not going to drink the profits, right?
Right.
And you sell it till you get caught. And then when they say, "Where's your
liquor license?"
You'd be like, "What license?" You'd be like, "I don't have no license."
You have to have a license to sell. You have to have a license to sell alcohol.
George Washington did say I had to have a license. Well, you call him, and then you go away in cuffs, and you'll be back.
That reminds me of Parks and Rec. Have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Where's your permit to do this?" He pulls it out and it says, "I have permission to do this." I'm like, "You hand wrote this?" He's like, "Yes, I gave myself permission." That would be me. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah, they don't need to see you getting taken out of the truck in cuffs.
That'd be probably bad.
That's no fun. Right. Trust me, when everybody's looking at you, you got your hands in cuffs, and they're dragging you, and you're afraid to walk because you're trying to be tough. We're not going to worry about my story.
It's not a good look.
No.
All right, so should we move on to our topic for the day? Is there anything else before we go to our topic for the day?
No, I think we've covered a lot.
All right, so today we're going to talk about why we love youth sports. So why is it that we love it so much? Obviously, we've made a podcast about it. We've got people watching that love it. So I'd like to hear, pop in your reason why you love youth sports. I'm reminded of this. I think the reason I came up with this, I suggested this topic was I was watching, the little reels or whatever, and something popped up, and it was probably, they were like 5 or 6 year old t-ball players, and I just loved it because the kid had a hit, and then he did cartwheels to first base, and for me, I'm like, that is just the best part about sports, because you can just tell that they are loving everything that they're doing, and they're not worried about winning. Well, I mean, maybe they are, but they're not worried about playing professional. They're not worried about going to college. They're just having fun. And it's like, this kid's doing cartwheels to first base after he makes a hit. And I think he made it, by the way, but because all the other kids were just like rolling over, looking for the ball, and couldn't get it to first base. But he did cartwheels to first base and just had a blast. And I think that was a good reminder for me. It's like, just having fun. I love watching that. And when you see kids have fun, I think we shared earlier the one where the kids scored on the wrong basket, but they still had a blast doing it. And it's like, to me, that's why it's a good time. Like, that's what I love about youth sports, is just when kids are just having fun. So, I don't know, what pops into your head?
Well, I think it comes down to what sport gives the most enjoyment, right? Like, I've told stories on here about rugby, and rugby was great because the parents didn't know anything. So the kids enjoyed it. They played hard. It was high school, so we were there to win, and we worked hard at it. But at the end of the day, the parents were giving high fives, and they had no idea.
Yeah.
I think girls lacrosse for me this year was that. I had more enjoyment watching girls lacrosse because I have no idea what was going on. And the girls, they were excited and they were playing. But as a parent, like, I watch our soccer games and I do love it. But the anxiety of winning, right, trying to win at the next level, and we travel and we're on top of it.
Right.
So I think it all depends on the sport. My friend Scott from San Francisco texted he loves youth sports with a participation trophy. Scott was a kid that always took second and third place. Never really did well. I get it, Scott. I get it. But I think, hockey's one from a young age, right? You go to a hockey game and they are into it. I mean, they're fighting in the stands. We've seen it, and the kids are hitting at a young age. I think softball is one where maybe the enjoyment's there. even youth baseball. But I think there's a point where it turns into from where, the enjoyment of it turns bad. I don't see that, like, our team, like, we took 2 losses in St. Louis. I enjoyed all 3 games. Never mind, it did not bother me to lose. I felt we got beat by really good teams.
Yeah.
And even the ride home, I'm like, it's fun, and that high school soccer was, there are games you go into and you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And so you just watch the girls and they're having fun because high school is different. There's girls that don't play club. There's girls that play club. There's girls that train really hard. There's girls that don't train really hard. And I think they have, they have the ability to come together and just play for school. So I think they're fun. I think I enjoyed playing them. I was a chubby first baseman that made the All-Star team. I got excited. I hit a home run, and then the guy on the end of the bench came over and told me I got a free hot dog. I'm like, heck to the yes.
Did you eat the hot dog during the game?
Oh, yeah. I walked over, got me a hot dog, and went back on the bench.
Okay, so that's a good part about youth sports right there. You don't see people eating hot dogs during games in professional sports, typically. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but, my friend Scott he has a box of trophies. Well, when you win participation trophies, you get trophies. But let me ask you this. This will be a little off topic, right? Did you guys get trophies when you were in 7th and 8th grade? Like for playing sports from your school?
The ones, I didn't do a ton, but we did not, no.
So we did. We were in Catholic school, right? So everybody got big trophies for playing basketball. All those trophies today are in a box, right?
Yeah.
They're in a box in a basement. And like even now, like when was the last time we got anything for our daughters winning a soccer tournament?
Yeah, well, you don't. Yeah.
A little something will be nice. A little something for the effort.
A little hardware.
They got a medal for winning the state championship. Coach has a trophy that's like this, like monster.
That thing is big.
Yeah. It'd be nice to maybe pass it around a little bit. I'd like to have it for a week at my house.
Ooh, traveling trophy like the Stanley Cup.
Like the Stanley Cup. I'd like to have soda, maybe something to drink out of it. I would do that.
Dusty needs to get on this. I say Dusty should do this. This is Dusty's realm.
Well, he's got to get there first.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding, Dusty. Just kidding. But I think if Dusty did talk to everybody and said, hey, we need to pass the trophy around, he wields a pretty big stick in the club.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
Now, I saw Paul posted this. I think Paul needs to clarify. He said he likes the moms. Now, I don't know. I think Paul needs to expound on this. Does he like the nervous mom energy that I've talked about? Nervous mom energy. I enjoy nervous mom energy for sure. Nervous mom energy is hilarious. Or does he mean like he enjoys the things that moms say? Or is he like that guy at that Taylor Swift concert? Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, this is in Minneapolis. Somebody was over his shoulder and they took a picture of his cell phone and he was like, there's so many hot moms here. I'm loving this. He went viral because he's like texting people and he's like telling his buddies in a group text like how many hot moms and I just saw this hot mom. It was hilarious. So I don't know what Paul's talking about here. He was a little too vague. So
yeah, I don't just want to speak for Paul either. I probably got my idea, but I'm not going to be like, wow, Paul thinks this. I think he got pretty quiet here. But you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and Paul's out of town for soccer, right? He's in Rockford.
Ooh. Oh, Rockford. He already went down?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A couple of them. I think a couple people did.
I'm sending my kid tomorrow. I care so much I'm sending her with somebody else.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But
oh, he said all of the above words. Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy way out, Paul. Kind of chicken.
So
boop.
Before you ask me that question, I will say this again. I've said it on podcasts before. I love nervous mom energy. Nervous mom energy cracks me up. It really does. And I'm telling you, if you've not thought about this, just watch a sideline sometimes. Sometimes the moms have to say something because they're so worried about, like, their kid doing well, the team doing well. Like, you can just tell, like, it's just nervous mom energy. I get a kick out of it. I love it. And there's great things that moms say. They say some awesome stuff, like, in that nervous mom energy. Sometimes they just have to talk because they're like, trying to just divert from their nervousness. I love it. It's the best. It's awesome.
We have some great moms in our team that are very nervous, right? And they yell, and they're very positive. But there are teams that are just disasters with moms, like, and they're looking to fight. Like, they're looking like if okay, let's bring up St. Louis, right? The girl on the field has a knee brace on. Remember her?
Oh, I forgot about this.
And her knee brace broke, and she took it off, and she's running around with a knee brace in her hand.
Like,
and
dangling. She's just like...
Dangling.
Yeah.
And me and you are live on our broadcast, and we're like, hey, somebody should, like, stop the game or something. She's carrying a knee brace, like a weapon.
Right.
And whatever Stacy's mom, who's got it going on down here, yells, it's a knee brace! Like, it's for her knee. And we're like, no kidding. But it shouldn't be in her hand.
Right.
And it's just like she was so ready to attack. And we're like, no, seriously. Like I don't understand this. Just blow the whistle, right? The ball was in the middle of the field.
Who cares?
It wasn't going in the goal. Take a second and be like, hey, Stacy, you need to put your knee brace back on. Remove yourself from the field. You play a person down, and then you re-enter when you're ready.
Right.
But it was just this big debacle of holy crap. And all we were trying to say is she's carrying a knee brace, or a metal knee brace,
and
in her hand.
Didn't the mom say it's not like she's going to club somebody with it or something?
Right? And we're like,
well, duh.
Right. But it's, you think the ability for a mom to be like, hey, you should really put your knee brace back on. But she was willing. She wanted to fight. Ran away, nervous energy, wanted to fight. We weren't having it. Yeah, it was fantastic. And then the water incident, because it was so hot, they let the parents give the players water. And one of their players came over and got water. And then we're like, we're going to give our player water. So then we were just throwing water bottles at everybody. Just trying to give them energy. I don't know. And it didn't mean anything. But
yeah.
That's the nervous energy that's fantastic. It
is. And if you've never really watched it, just watch them. Sit back and enjoy the nervous mom energy. And dads have it too, don't get me wrong, but I just notice it a little bit more with the moms as well.
I think moms have nervous energy. I think dads try to coach.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
They're like, and I've admitted, and I've told our coach this, that when we get over half field, I like to yell shoot. Just to let everybody know they got to shoot to score, right? And then I've learned from Joe that anytime the ball goes in the box, the 18 box, which is 18 meters out and so many meters wide, that you yell handball.
Of course.
Because if it's a handball, you get a penalty kick, right? So I've learned that also. But there are dads, and I think the 2010 dads are great, and we'll talk about their success. But, man, they're not afraid to be like guiding their son to victory.
Hey, anything we can do to help, and we know the game so well, obviously.
Well, obviously, if we coached more, they'd be worse. From my point of view, because I don't know what the hell they're doing. Like angle passes, like I'm never going to yell angle pass. Like great angle pass, like no. So we just keep our mouth shut.
My favorite is the square pass. Square pass.
Does that go backwards and then over and up?
I don't know, but it's my favorite.
Right. It's a great term. I've heard it on the pitch before.
If my understanding is correct, it's when it's like you're squared up to it, it comes to, and then you just kick it back to him. I think. I don't know, but it's my favorite because I don't know what it is. I hear people say it a lot. I don't know. Right.
If Dusty's still on, if you would mind putting in the comments what a square pass is, or if there's any other terms that we might need to know. Maybe we should get Dusty on here one night. I think
we should get Dusty on. I think Dusty would be great. I think he's dying to come on. That's why he's piping up in the comments a little bit. I think this is good.
Yeah,
let's make it happen.
Dying's a loose term too. It might be better than dying. But
all right, so
get back to our topic, right?
Yes.
Fun sports, and I think youth football is fantastic. I think so. What do you like? The excitement level? We'll put it into a club in high school. I think high school football is probably the most exciting sport because I think the school gets behind it more than any other sport.
Yeah, and I think there's a few reasons for that. I think high school football is lucky enough to be, obviously football is very popular, NFL, things like that. But I think it's also, there's one game a week. It's always on a Friday night, which is when the week has commenced. Everybody's kind of built up for that. And so there's a lot of excitement to it. And then there's a lot of guys on a team. So that means that they have, if every guy has 3 friends, you got 300 dudes sitting, or 300 people sitting in the stands just from that. Right. So that inherently gives it some advantages. And it's a very exciting. There's some of the most exciting high school moments I've ever been a part of have been football. So for me, I think that's part of it is why it's so exciting.
Yeah. Actually, my neighbor Tim just joined in. He said, as a grandparent, we think different. We do not want our kids to be hurt physically, emotionally. How do we handle that? Well, I don't know. Let's back it up even farther. Dusty said a square pass is a pass across the field in a straight line. Isn't that a straight pass?
Yeah, usually square passes are bad. Usually is my understanding. And
yes, because they're straight.
And then Joe says it's 90 degrees pass, lateral pass, right? Which usually they're not great. I would agree with that, Paul. So,
really summed it up.
So here we are. So to Tim's point,
I think grandparents have different avenues than parents, right? Grandparents are there to watch their grandkids because their kids are grown.
Yep.
Right? They've given up on their kids, so now it's time to worry about the grandkids. And so their job, yes, they're the ice cream people, right? I was told, and I probably saw this on the TikTok, but the best thing a grandparent could do is get a kid in the car. And the only question is, do you want to get ice cream, right? They don't parent, they don't talk about the sport, they don't talk about good or bad. Their job is to be the great, fun grandparent.
For sure. And listen, I understand. I think there's a lot of parents that are falling into this not wanting to get hurt too. And I think it's a great observation from Tim in that there are a lot of people, grandparents, parents that are worried about their kids getting hurt. And I guess where I come down on that as somebody who does some coaching and somebody who has 4 kids that are in athletics, it's one of the things you have to become comfortable with is that your kid's going to be disappointed and hurt. And that's a hard thing as a parent, right? Because you don't want your kid to be hurt. Nobody wants to see their kid disappointed. You don't want to see your kid run through adversity. It's a hard thing to see them struggle. And sometimes I've had children that struggle more than others. Like sometimes Amelia will struggle and then she'll bounce back from it pretty quick. I've got another child that sometimes struggles even more. Like they might get down on themselves a little bit more. That is a very difficult thing to watch your child go through. And I can understand why that's difficult. But on the flip side, it is super crucial for them to learn from that experience and learn from that feeling. And I think that's one of the hardest things about being a parent is allowing your kid to fail and to not do well and to struggle is just because you don't want that for them. I don't think anybody would say, yeah, I want my kid to really struggle.
No, and especially as a grandparent, right? As a grandparent, you because when I know my parents, we tell my parents about the good things that happen in my kids' lives. They don't need to know the day-to-day disaster that we are, so it's just best that they hear that on the good side, right?
Right.
And I think so when they come to the games, they get excited and they watch it, but then their job is to just high five.
Right. Totally agree.
Yeah, in like Tim just said, as a parent of a child, you're there, you're in the moment, you're on the sideline, you're with the other parents, you're invested. And as a grandparent, you get to come, sit in the stands, and cheer.
Yeah. It's funny that Tim mentions that, too, because I think about my wife's parents that come to the games. And he's exactly correct. Everything that they give feedback-wise is, oh, this was so great. You did this. There's no negative, right? Everything is positive, and I can appreciate that. And I think that's one of the cool things about grandparents is they look to find all those positive things. And I think from a parental perspective, I think sometimes that could be something that we take a little bit more to heart, because I think one of the things that we really need to be is supportive, right? They're on their little path chasing this dream, whatever that might be, or just maybe they just want to play. We just need to be supportive of it rather than, especially when they get to this level, the coach is going to point out things that are not correct. They're going to point out all the things that need to be worked on. We just need to support them and be there for them and help them along the journey to make sure that they're staying in a positive mindset. So, no, I can totally respect that it was definitely a different aspect as a parent to a grandparent. I'm sure I will be very different as a grandparent than I was as a parent. So, yeah, I can totally get that.
Oh, yeah. There will be a lot more like energy drinks, and then I'll be like, here you go, good luck, and then leaving. Because that's the hell that I'm going through, right, with our kids. So you got to pay them back a little bit.
Right.
But it's, and to get back, our topic, and that's the football, right? The football is the grandparents come, the parents come, the friends come, the neighborhood comes. I mean, up at Bayport, we got on the north side of the field, there's houses you could park at, and those neighbors all walk in. That they're at a house and they're having a beer or two before the game, and then they go to the field where that's the only real sport. I mean, my daughter's tennis. It's just parents of tennis players and maybe a boyfriend. But there's the school doesn't show up, right? I mean, it's. We had one soccer game this year where the fans showed up, and that was the sectional finals versus De Pere. Otherwise, there's always some random kids, but it's not that excitement that the football team gets because of the Friday night. You're exactly correct.
Yeah. Oh, I see this a little bit more that happens with football too. It's another reason I really like youth sports. Think about all the football games you've been to. What do you almost always see somewhere in the stadium? And that's another game breaking out between little kids. And I've actually seen this happen with some stadiums now. They're actually high school stadiums. They're actually building a little section where there's a separate field where they can actually go and play. And I think that's really cool, like just that random game that breaks out. And you see that sometimes with soccer. I think because of the way this laid out, sometimes they'll jump over to another field or things like that. But I think that's really cool when you start to see, the love of the game. Kids start just playing on their own. Bouncing around. I think that's another cool part of the football aspect, but you do see that sometimes with other sports as well.
Yeah, and I think Joe makes a good point because Joe coached his daughter. Like, I coached my daughter when they were real young in soccer, but I didn't know anything about soccer, so it wasn't really even coaching. But Joe, when you go from that coaching aspect, and if you stop coaching soccer and just go sit in the stands, you stop having to try to teach, right? And you just get to watch.
Right. It is.
You get to enjoy it instead of. And at this level, our daughters are at. It's not like me and Joe have talked about this at length, and Paul, and I think me and you. When your kid gets in the car, the first thing I don't say is, "Wow, that was a really bad pass." 27 minutes into the game, like I will get beaten by my.
Am I not supposed to do that?
Hey, would you like some fries? And terrible pass. Terrible square pass.
Do you know how embarrassing that was for me? Just be totally toxic.
Right. When number 28 from the other team took the ball, man, their parents were all proud and made me mad. Doesn't happen. Right? We just...
Yeah.
Tim, I'm just reading what Tim's... You know, in the protection thing, that's a hard one, right? Because we all have to learn, and kids are going to get hurt. I mean, look, I don't want kids to get hurt. But the injuries that we're seeing nowadays are year-long injuries, and that's what scares me as a parent.
Yeah.
Kids get hurt, and I think falling down, I think scrape, bruises, even tears at the young age is all part of growing up. I mean, when we were, and I don't want to pull this big Gen X thing or whatever generation I'm in, but our parents didn't guide us too far, right? We would get hurt and we would get up, and it kind of, I think it helps you in life. But as a grandparent, yeah, you don't want to see your kid get hurt. You don't want to see your kid have a bad day, and and that is hard. And I am not there, and I don't need to be there for a while. But I don't know how to react to that, or how to say, like, how to get through that situation besides just go enjoy it and be the positive one, like you said. Like Sarah's great, right? I mean, he's never said a bad thing to even me.
No, he's always so positive. I mean, it's just, and in his mind, his grandkids can do anything, which is awesome. And that's the way you should be, and I think that's kind of where Tim's coming from it too. And I think the biggest thing you can do to help them from a bullying perspective or injury is just let them always know you've got their back, right? And that's the cool part about youth sports. You've got these really supportive, hopefully, parents, grandparents, people that come to the games, and they're going to always have your back. And no matter if this kid's being mean to you or if you get hurt here, I've got your back. I'm going to be your biggest supporter, right? And that's where I think you can really help them and give them that confidence that no matter what happens, they've got a big fan over here. So
now here's a question of the day: when does the grandparent stand up over the parent? That's a great question. I don't know, because if you feel your kid is struggling on the field and your son or daughter is sitting there watching it, do you have the ability to stand up and move around your child to go to your grandchild? I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in any situation, you're going to do what you feel is right. And if you feel something's over the line or something has been said or done that was, I don't know if inappropriate's the right word, but just not correct, maybe, or maybe somebody's getting a little too fired up. I think you're within your rights to calmly assert your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we're never going to advocate, anything physical, but it's okay to be firm in your opinion and firm in your position.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you go to the coach? And Dusty asks, depends if your child is acting like a child. And that's where the hard part would probably be depicting what is going on.
Right.
But, I don't.
And sometimes you don't always know the whole backstory either. I mean, there can be dynamics that are happening that has nothing to do with it that happened in a game. I just think back to some of the things that happened in our high school season. There was something that we played one team from, I think it was Chippewa Falls, and one of the girls going into the game was all riled up about something that had happened last year in the game with that same team, right? So she was going into the game like ready for, there was some physical play that had happened and some talking or whatever, and so she was going into it all amped up, and when she got into the game, she was all amped up about that player and what was going to happen, and it elevated the way she played about, how she responded to some aggressive play, right? So that can definitely be, there can be more backstory, I guess is what I'm getting to, is that sometimes that happens where you don't always know what the whole story is.
Yeah. Paul brings up good idea. You think Tim means another parent is getting on his grandkid. Yeah, that would be tough, right? Because I think when your kids are, and I know Tim's grandkids are young, and I would struggle to watch another parent, if that was the case, get on my grandkids, right? Like, because they're young. But I think that's the assertive move as a parent, to be like, hey, that's enough, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think you have the right to do that because you have a right to protect your kids versus an unruly parent, if that is the case. We haven't seen that. I at least haven't seen it on Macy's or my other daughters. That was another parent getting on them. But it's out there. I mean, you can.
Usually, parents are pretty good about that But if somebody was getting on my kid unjustly, so I would probably say something. But usually, I've not run into that too many times.
Right. But I think you definitely have a right to give the old, hey, that's enough.
Yeah.
That in the correct way to do it is to inform them kindly and then,
and
throw a
firmly
spider monkey on them and try to beat the hell out of them in the parking lot. But that's a different story. But I do think you have a right to say, what, that's enough. Hey, there are kids, and not attack their kid, because that's something I would do, and that's childish. You just inform them that it's wrong. Yeah.
But you admit it, though, so that's kind of adultish that you would do it.
Right. So it's okay. No, but and if that's and Tim, great guy, and as a grandparent, yeah. But I think you can't sit you sit idle. But at some point, if it boils over that much, you have every right to say something.
Yeah, and again, I think to what you said, if you do it in a respectful manner, so it doesn't escalate anything. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem to say, hey, that's enough. That's over the line. Yeah, but hopefully that you don't see a lot of that. I have not. I've heard of. I can think of like my youngest son. I remember his last year. A couple parents said something, and I'm like, "Dude, 7 years old. Like, why are we talking? First of all, why are we even talking to the players?" But I remember they kind of got at him because he made a pass. Like, I think he passed it to the middle or something. They were like kind of getting on him. And I'm like, first of all, he's 7 years old. Secondly, like, stop coaching from the sidelines. And then it's like, third, just lay off. Like it's all good. I kind of let that one slide because I was like, it's not worth the energy. But I think if it would have continued, I think it's worth saying, like, hey, I would appreciate if we could just not, say anything to the player or to my son or to my daughter or whoever it is.
And I'll be honest, I would just probably go tell my wife and be like, hey, can you handle this? I'm not very good at this. She knows. I would probably
go talk to your wife and have her handle it too for my kid.
She's the Stallone of the family. She knows what that means. We're not going to worry about that.
Nice. Hey, that's a great. I think that's a good topic, a good question, though, Tim.
Yeah, Dusty says bring a noisemaker. So are vuvuzelas not allowed? Because I think they told us at regionals that we could not have a vuvuzela.
It's crazy.
French word for horn. Is it French? You think?
Sure.
It sounds French.
It's got to be.
But we have cowbells, and they're done respectably. But yeah, the World Cup had vuvuzelas. Really brought Brazil out. Really.
In South Africa, they had the vuvuzela. I mean, come on.
Yes.
We got to do this.
Back to our topic. Youth sports are fun. They are, right? I mean, to me, I will miss the day when both of my kids are done playing youth sports. And it's coming faster and faster. And that does bother me. Because I think at the end of the day, we have lives and we do everything, but it's the one time that we maybe get to sit back and watch somebody we love play. Whether it's rec, I don't care what level it's at, right? But it's fun to sit. When Macy was reffing last year, I'd go watch her rec kids, 7th graders, and I just love watching them have fun. Right? I got to sit outside. I sat in the sun, and my daughter was reffing, and it was just fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you, and I think that's one of the things. We pose this question so you can think about it for yourself. When you're at that game, just think about it. What is the thing you're going to love about it and what you miss about it? Because as we know, the older we get, time goes fast, and you're not going to get to do this forever. Now, hopefully, maybe you have grandkids like Tim, but man, I'm going to miss it too. So, I mean, just keep that in perspective when you're out there. Like, you're going to miss this at some point, the good, the bad, all the stuff. So enjoy it while you can.
Because one day you're going to have money in your pocket again, and it's going to be amazing. But, okay. And Tim talks about that. He did not like the youth sports, but I think the people that I talk to now that are anti-youth sports are the cottage people, right? Are the travelers, and they're just not willing to give up some of their life for that. I am the opposite.
Listen, I talked to somebody tonight that's he has a daughter in youth sports, and he's getting frustrated with youth sports because of, he's like, I'm tired of all the politicking. I'm tired of all the complaining by the parents. I'm tired of the, we got to get on this team. We got to do this. He's like, I just want my daughter to have fun. Like, she's a more casual player. And he's like, I'm just tired of I just want to sit. He's like, I just want to sit and watch her enjoy playing soccer. I don't want to have all the other stuff that comes with it. And I can understand that. I get that. I mean, some of this stuff can be pretty mentally draining, the politics that sometimes goes into it, for whatever. I mean, I don't think our club really has a lot of politics, but there are some things that can frustrate people, especially if you're just looking for a casual enjoyment of a sport. So I understand that, and I think I could see where some people wouldn't enjoy it or would lose the luster for it.
But do you think that, so we just went through tryouts, right? Do you think that tryouts should be done in a way where, I mean, we mark down what team we'd like to try out for? Like, if you want to try out for the top team, you put the top team. But do you think that there should be more boxes to check, and for that, like that, to add, like, hey, my daughter would like to just play recreational, in that, but does the daughter want to play that way?
Right. I mean, I don't think it would be a bad thing to be able to have, like, this one. I guess I just assume when we do our tryouts, like the ones our daughters just went through, that if you don't make the top team, then they offer you the next team down, or whatever level it is that they feel that your daughter would qualify for. And that happens or doesn't happen?
That happens.
Okay, so then, like, why do you need to check the box? I guess you just have tryouts, and then you just kind of put girls where you think they need to go. Now, I think why they probably have you try out for, like, the premier or whatever is just so you don't just get any Sally showing up for, who's never touched a soccer ball trying out for a premier team. I would assume then, you're going to try out for a team that you feel like you're applicable to the level of. But I don't know. I'm okay with the way they do the tryouts, honestly.
Yeah. No, I am too. And I think politics are everything we do, whether you're at work. Right, I've been accused of, and I laugh at this, but I've been accused of getting to know, and this isn't the coach we have now, it's in the past, but getting to know the coach we have in the past, thinking it was going to help my daughter. The coach was a friend of mine. I talked a little bit. I don't know soccer, right? Talking to me about soccer, you might as well talk to the tree, because you're going to get better info. And my daughter was decent. Like, she played a lot. Like, it's not like I'm like, what do you want me to complain about? Like, even our coach now, I really enjoy the conversations we've had about life and things. I've never once sat and said, wow, I really think you should play this girl a little more at the wing. I mean, it would never come out of my mouth. No, but I know your game, Toby. You're just trying to weasel your way in by being the friend, the guy, just right. Trying to, I'm not here to get my daughter playing time. I just want to be your friend. Here's a bottle of whiskey. Oh, what do you know? She's starting. Oh, right. That was my whole game plan in college. I don't want to date you. I want to be your friend.
Right. By the way, what are you doing on Saturday at 7?
Right. And she's like, I'm going out with my boyfriend, loser.
Hey, how do you think I got my wife? She'll ask her this sometime. I invited myself on the first date. She was going somewhere, and I'm like, hey, can I come along? 23 years later, she can't shake me.
You think every day she looks and she's like, I just should have said no. Like,
but
go away.
Dang it. So close. So anyways, yeah, honestly, I know what you're saying, because I think you come on the side of, I just want to be friendly, and I'm kind of that way too. When it comes to the coach, I'm going to be friendly to the coach. I want to be friendly to the coach. I'm not trying to get my daughter playing time. I'm just trying to be a decent human being. But it does get viewed sometimes as being, you have ulterior motives, and I understand why. Like, I get it. It's just that's not the point.
Hey, Eric just joined us. For those out there, he was on our podcast. He is in charge. Eric, if you go back and listen to the first 35 minutes, you will be fully amazed at the amount of knowledge you're going to gain. Second, we have asked that our daughters got state cup little medallions. Doesn't do us nothing. We would like the trophy to pass around amongst the families for 1 week, and we can do with it what we will. That is it.
Right. We want the trophy.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You can start with me.
Oh, Joe thinks we're a brown noser. You know what, to be fair on this too, I've been accused of this at work. When I was in the banking world, people always just, it's like, you couldn't be just, like, is it okay that I'm just nice to my boss? Like, genuinely nice to my boss? Do I have to, like, be a total tool to him? Just because? It's not like I was trying to get anything from him. No, I got promoted a lot, but hey, what the... But I was just trying to be nice.
Hey, we're nice to Joe. What has that gotten us? Nothing. Like, nothing. Like, just, he hasn't even cut my lawn.
Joe.
But so our team is very active, right? We have a great group. We've done some things. Joe's been involved. We got the albino. What's the term they call Jake?
No, he's the gray antelope.
The gray antelope.
Silver antelope. Silver antelope.
Yes. We might have Jake back on because Jake is now a certified something or other ref. But we have a great group of parents, but there are parents that don't do anything on our team, right? They just are parents, and that's awesome.
It is.
We're not about to do that. Like I have more fun because like we've gotten to know you, your family, Joe. Like we've gotten to know quite a few families in our club, and this to me is if I'm traveling all over the Midwest, I might as well have some fun with it.
Totally agree. Yep.
Because it's not always about the kids.
So yeah, ulterior motives be damned. I'm with you. I'm not looking for anything else, but just have fun. So.
Well, I'm looking for a piece of that trophy is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, that. Agreed. Get on that, Eric.
Yeah. What are you doing? It's the off season. Like you're doing nothing. It's July. We're all taking the day off. Dusty's over here promising August off too if we want it. I don't want it.
Wow. Telling you.
Like
January, man. That's where it needs to be. January needs to be off. Eric, get on that one too.
Let's buy a boat and put it in storage for summer.
All right.
Well, that was fantastic. Hour and 12. Wow. Man, that goes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Great conversation tonight. We appreciate everybody. Neighbor Tim stepping in, asking some questions. Our opinions are just ours, but it's fun to talk about.
For sure. Did you want to end the unpopular opinion?
Yes, I did, and I've been thinking about this because I do, and it's my opinion. Would you like to go first? I've gone first the last 2 times.
No, you go for it.
Hey, by the way, your comment last time still shocks the world of soccer parents. Just
I know.
Beer isn't great.
And this is not beer. This is actually white grape juice. So, not beer.
Of course it is. The largest glass of white grape juice this side of the Mississippi. I will say this, that the greatest movie ever produced, ever made, ever watched. Ready?
Yeah.
Goonies. Favorite movie of all time. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so you're going to go with
Crawl.
Greatest movie ever made.
I mean, Howard the Duck was good, but not Goonies good. Yeah.
So does that, just so I understand your perspective on this, if you had 2 hours to kill,
yep,
that's the first one you'd take. First movie you'd watch.
Blockbusters in Milwaukee on the east side did not have Goonies until I went to school there. I spoke to the manager. They've got Goonies. It was rented once by me. Yep. Loved it. Inspirational. There's a moment of you think they're going to die. They don't die. They rise through the ashes, and they come out on top. Now, I thought they could have taken some more gold, and then they would have lived happier ever after. But did they ever make a Goonies 2? No, because they nailed the first one. Hello. Joe's right. Goonies never die. And Tim said I can never talk to him again.
Hey, you guys.
Dude,
okay, so I got to tell you the story before I do that.
Okay.
I worked with a guy that we always used to do, hey, you guys, too, because he was a bald guy, and he was kind of bigger, and he looked like, and he used to get so mad, and understandably so. But I had never seen the movie at that point, but I knew the line, like the "Hey, you guys," and then I watched the movie, and I was like, oh my god, it is him. It was pretty funny. And I can understand then why he was not so thrilled about being called. I can't remember that guy's name, that character's name, but yeah, hey, you guys, I love it. Dusty's put it in there.
Sloth. Yeah, see you chunked when they took him up, and then when he start from the beginning, he's like, it's second grade, when we drank, and then I puked all over the balcony. Just comedy gold. Comedy gold.
Huh.
It's unpopular, but it's an unpopular opinion.
This is true. That's a good one. I like yours. It's not the movie I would go to first. I mean, I think I told you Dumb and Dumber is kind of my flick for the go-to, but yeah, that's a pretty good one. I like it.
Yeah. All right. See, it's all about the shock, the value, shock and awe.
So I was thinking about this one, the unpopular opinion, and you're not going to like this one, I don't think. You might not like this one as much as you didn't like the beer one.
You say old fashions are terrible. You're out of here.
I like old fashions actually.
Okay.
That's one I can actually get behind. I kind of respect Kimberly a little bit. I kind of do. As much as I like to see them lose, I kind of respect the fact that they almost dang near every sport they're damn near competitive in. And it kills me.
Eric's flat out right. Take it back.
I'm telling you, it kills me to say that. It really does, because I love watching them lose, don't get me wrong. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like,
me every time.
God, it's like I kind of respect the heck out of it. But I love watching them lose. So
bad. So bad.
I have terrible unpopular opinion or terrible takes, but it is true. Like there's a part of me that hates them, but I kind of just like, God, kind of respect them a little bit.
Do you have a K tattoo? Like
I do not.
Kimberly K tattoo?
No, and it's not because I lived there for 3 years or whatever. I kind of respect it a little bit. They're damn good at like every sport. It's kind of annoying.
Well, that's a given, right? It's hard to argue that they.
I'm not moving.
You can't argue against it. I mean, they're good. I mean, they made it to regionals in soccer. Wow, that's impressive. They had a good football run.
They still do. They won state last year.
Yeah, well, okay. Take football out of it. Like anybody can win football. They cheat.
But no, I'm just saying, like, that's crazy hard to do what they do. Like I said, I love watching them lose.
Well, what's crazy about it is there's teams that have really good sport, right? Notre Dame girls basketball is phenomenal.
Right.
There are different things that have, but Kimberly does a wide variety of sport.
Yeah.
But if you recruit with NIL money, it's not that hard. Like, hey, you're pretty good. Would you like to have this car or that car? And you're like, I don't know if I should take a car. Next thing you know, they're driving a car.
Yeah.
Well, hey, what's wrong with our kids? Why aren't they being recruited? That's baloney.
Baloney. And I say that having never beat Kimberly. I played them. I was a coach at Neenah, and I lost to them. I was a coach at Spash. I lost to them. I've never beaten Kimberly. Never have. I would love to beat them. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Never have.
I'll be honest. When I walk through those stands, shoulders a little taller.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
A little bit. My chin was out.
Dude, that would have been the best feeling ever. Because the times that we've played them, we've gotten our kicked in. I mean, it's been our teeth, literally, we got beat with one game. It was like 38-7. And then the other one, I mean, we got trounced. So I would love to beat them at any sport, honestly. That's why I was so happy when Spash won cross country state or track state that third place was Kimberly. That was awesome. But
what do you do? Like when you win cross country, like do you talk smack? Like
no,
do this stuff, and you don't, do
no.
you?
Now I've seen a couple of the players do that, but generally speaking, there's not a lot of trash talking. I mean, and I give them, maybe it's just because they're more reserved and they're a little bit more confident. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't see a lot of trash talking. They could, though. They're good.
But when you're on top, you got to let everybody know they're beneath you.
Yeah. So, anyways, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to break your heart.
And Eric's talk about the club and how we've got Kimberly kids in the club. Like that is club. We're talking high school. But I do have a confirmed, not date, but the head coach of the boys' Kimberly basketball program has agreed to come on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Hall of Fame coach, great guy. I just have to lock down a date. He said June, they're quite busy for him, but I think July, August, I think we can bring him on, and he will be a great guest. And you can tell him your unpopular opinion, and he will just be like, wow, you're weird.
Eric said the sound of sponsors canceling. Oh, boy. Does he mean, like, sponsoring the club?
No, he thinks that we have sponsors.
Hey, this is like being uncancelable. We don't have anything.
I saw something. If I go back...
What, is this going to cancel?
Yeah. No.
No.
Paul said velocity is out. We got a hat. Was he take his hat back? No. Send me a check and then cancel it if you want. But at least send the money.
Oh, Paul.
He ain't going anywhere.
Hey, it's an unpopular opinion. That's the whole point. All right. Anything else?
Do me a favor, everybody out there. Tell us your unpopular opinions on the Facebook page. Start with that. Like it.
Send them in. That's right.
Write your unpopular opinion. And we will decide how unpopular it is. Because next week's going to be... Ooh. Remember last time you did a poll and I deleted it because I didn't know what I was doing?
That was funny.
That went well. And next week I'm taking the family to New York City, road trip. So I will not be available. I'll be back in 2 weeks, but if you happen to maybe get some guy from Amherst and come on, you can do that.
All right, well, sounds good. Maybe we'll do that.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Everybody have a good night. Toby, take care, man.
Yeah, you too. All right, bye.